Tucked in the golden curves of the Hollywood Hills stands a Spanish colonial gem. Arched doors, hand-painted ceilings, and a violet marble kitchen that whispers both elegance and edge. But who lives here? Would you guess it's the man who once set MTV on fire with leather, sneers, and white wedding? Today, we step beyond the gates into the wild heart and quiet home of Billy Idol, where rebellion now sleeps in luxury. How does a quiet boy named William from Stanmore become Billy Idol, the snarling, sneering prince of punk rock? The story doesn't start with a guitar. It starts with movement, displacement, identity caught between continents. At just 2 years old, Billy's family crossed the Atlantic, leaving England for the American dream in Patchogue, New York. But 4 years later, they were back, this time in the quiet gray corners of Dorking, then Bromley, then Worthing. Always the new kid, always searching. Was that the seed of rebellion? At Sussex University, he studied philosophy, but the punk scene offered a different kind of truth, one not written in books, but in ripped denim, guitars, and furious energy. He left school, picked up a guitar, and stepped into the chaos of 1970s London. No plan, no money, just the raw hunger to be heard. With Generation X, Billy Idol didn't just sing. He posed, he prowled, he commanded. This wasn't just music, it was theater. It was punk turned myth. Songs like Ready, Steady, Go exploded onto Top of the Pops, while Idol's bleached hair and curled lip made him unforgettable. But even then, London couldn't contain him. In 1981, he made a move that changed everything. New York. It was dirty, loud, alive. And Billy was reborn in leather and lipstick, armed with a solo vision and a new sound. Dancing with Myself hit the clubs. Then came White Wedding. MTV didn't just play it, they played it on loop. Billy Idol became the poster boy of 1980s rebellion, straddling the line between punk and pop with hypnotic danger. By the time Rebel Yell dropped in 1983, he wasn't just famous, he was iconic. But the fire that fueled him also burned. Beneath the glam was exhaustion, addiction, and chaos. Then, 1990. A motorcycle crash crushed his leg, left his insides torn. Doctors weren't sure he'd walk again, let alone perform. And yet somehow he got back up. In Cradle of Love, his voice was softer, wiser, still wild, but no longer reckless. The world saw an idol who had survived. But the wild days weren't done. In 1994, he nearly died of a drug overdose. And it was there, in that moment of fading pulse and blurry vision, that the real turning point came. Not in fame, not on stage, but in fatherhood. "I finally thought," he once said, "do my kids want a half-alive rock star or a real dad?" He chose the second. The 2000s brought something unexpected. A reborn Billy Idol. Cleaner, smarter, still snarling, but with purpose. He released Devil's Playground and Kings and Queens of the Underground, played charity concerts, and even collaborated with Miley Cyrus on Plastic Hearts in 2020. He wasn't chasing youth anymore, he was commanding legacy. So what does a rebel do when the stage is dim, when the crowds fade? He finds peace. He builds sanctuaries, not just for his family, but for his spirit. And so, from the roar of New York to the stillness of the Hollywood Hills, Billy Idol chose to settle down. But not quietly. Never quietly. Because even in his 60s, there's a glint in his eye, a beat in his chest, a mansion in the hills that still hums with rebellion. Mansion in Hollywood. It's not loud. It doesn't scream rebellion. Yet every corner of this mansion, perched in the golden heights of Hollywood Hills, feels like a quiet anthem to survival. Built in 1929, this Spanish colonial revival estate is more than just a house. It's a living memory of Hollywood's golden age. And now, the unexpected sanctuary of a punk legend. The entrance greets you with a wrought iron gate framed by ivy, not manicured, but gently wild, as if nature herself had been allowed to grow in rhythm with the man who owns it. Past the gate, a winding path of terracotta tiles leads to a grand wooden door arched like a cathedral. Inside, magic. The ceilings stretch high above, hand-painted with faded murals. Not flashy, but intimate, like secrets whispered in color. Archways curve like stage curtains, revealing room after room bathed in soft, honeyed light. Stained glass windows filter the California sun into pools of crimson, amber, and violet. The library, paneled in deep wood, holds a vintage bar, the kind where stories are traded in low voices and glasses clink with ghosts of rock stars past. Here, Billy's energy hums quietly, like a power chord waiting to strike. The living room is anchored by an enormous stone fireplace, wide enough to warm a gathering of old friends, or perhaps a solitary evening with a guitar and a glass of red. Sofas spill into each other in creamy linen and dark leather, blending elegance with the worn-in comfort of a life fully lived. And then there's the kitchen, not just a workspace, but a work of art. Custom oak cabinetry lines the walls, paired with gleaming thermidor appliances. But the real showstopper? A Viola Monet marble island, veined in purple and gold, shimmering under pendant lights like a gemstone unearthed. Two primary suites offer very different kinds of luxury. The master suite is a dream carved in silence, a vast walk-in closet, separate bathrooms for his and hers, or perhaps more accurately, stage and backstage. Showers lined with travertine and marble, thresholds you don't just walk through, you arrive through. The second suite? Softer, quieter, perfect for a family visit or an artist friend passing through town. Here, wardrobes are doubled, light is filtered, and the city below feels a world away. Downstairs, the rhythm changes. The basement spans over 600 square feet, part spa, part hideaway. There's a custom-built infrared sauna, 2 bonus rooms ready to transform into guest bedrooms, studios, or even meditation spaces. A quiet hum fills the walls, not from amps, but from the stillness Billy's fought so long to find. And then, the outside world. But not the Hollywood, you know. Out back, the estate melts into a private paradise. A glistening pool stretches across the lawn, surrounded by whispering grasses and a towering oak tree. Silent, timeless, unshaken. There's no paparazzi here, just the breeze, the water, and maybe the soft echo of an acoustic guitar under fading light. Despite its quiet exterior, this home is layered, textured with clay walls, Roman lime finishes, European oak floors. Even the bathroom tiles, handmade Zia ceramics, seem to carry their own mood. It's earthy, sensual, and sacred. A place where rebellion doesn't retire. It simply rests. And with Runyon Canyon, Sunset Boulevard, and the hum of Los Angeles just minutes away, it's clear. Billy Idol hasn't left the stage. He's just chosen a different kind of spotlight. Mansion in Los Angeles. Not far from the Spanish whispers of Billy Idol's Hollywood Hills sanctuary stands another retreat. Different. Younger. Sharper in line, lighter in tone, but still unmistakably him. This is the $6 million Los Angeles mansion, a Mediterranean dream born from sunlight and craftsmanship. Custom-built to match a new chapter in Billy's life, this home doesn't try to emulate history. It creates its own. The approach is quiet, almost modest, until you notice the details. A set of hand-carved wooden double doors opens to reveal a grand foyer flooded in natural light. The floor, checkerboard tile laid with geometric precision. Above, a stunning skylight pours golden sunshine down onto the curved iron stairway, like a spotlight waiting for its performer. The architecture flows like melody, arched entryways, double-height ceilings, and sightlines that stretch from the living room all the way to the citrus trees outside. It's open, inviting, but with pockets of privacy tucked between each turn. Every space feels intentional, every texture chosen. The formal living room stuns in its restraint. Vaulted ceilings draw the eye upward, where beams of reclaimed oak stretch across creamy stucco. A sculptural fireplace anchors the room, flanked by neutral sofas and woven textiles that soften the edges. This isn't the punk chaos of the past. This is a space built for clarity, for calm creation. Then there's the dining area, not just a place to eat, but a room that listens. It opens directly into a hidden butler's pantry and a chef's kitchen that even a rock star would pause for. At its heart, a vast travertine island surrounded by premium appliances, white oak cabinetry, and built-in banquette seating. A warm invitation for breakfast conversations or late-night songwriting over coffee. And just beyond the kitchen, glass steel doors arch open into a sun-drenched courtyard. Here, the Mediterranean truly takes over. Palm trees sway gently above a tranquil pool, a bubbling spa waits in one corner, and hand-tiled accents shimmer beneath your feet. There's an outdoor dining area set under hanging lanterns, perfect for laughter, for toasts, for quietly celebrating a life reborn. A fully permitted ADU, accessory dwelling unit, sits beside the pool, styled not as an afterthought, but as a guest house with soul. Musicians crash here, family visits here, peace lives here. Back inside, a rare find. A guest suite on the first floor, complete with private bath. Ideal for visitors, or perhaps for Billy himself when the night ends late and stairs feel far. But upstairs? That's where the rhythm of luxury hits its highest note. The master suite is a study in subtle drama. Soaring ceilings, soft-toned fabrics, and a spa-like bathroom that almost whispers your name. There's a soaking tub beneath a stone feature wall, double vanities framed in warm wood, and walk-in closets big enough to house a lifetime of black leather and stage boots. 2 additional ensuite bedrooms sit nearby, each with their own personality, curated but never cold. A spacious laundry room and home office round out the top floor, making this not just a retreat, but a functioning home built for balance. Security is built into the perimeter. Gated entrance, discreet surveillance, and a private driveway that curves like a backstage hallway, always one step removed from the noise outside. But it's not just structure that defines this space, it's presence. This house feels like a song with no chorus, fluid, evolving, open to interpretation. It's not about who Billy Idol was, but who he became. Here, there are no screaming fans, no blinding lights, just the quiet tap of barefoot steps on oak wood, the rustle of linen curtains in the afternoon breeze, the smell of orange blossoms in the courtyard. He could have built anything. But he built this. Something timeless. Something that speaks not of rebellion, but of arrival. It wasn't built in a flash. There was no billionaire record deal. No headline-grabbing business empire. And yet, as of today, Billy Idol's fortune sits quietly at $60 million, earned not through noise, but through endurance. Let's go back to the spark. The early 80s weren't kind to punks, unless they could evolve. Billy Idol didn't just evolve, he transcended. When MTV launched in 1981, most British punks were too raw for prime time. But Billy? He understood the lens. He stared into the camera like it owed him something. And America watched, with White Wedding, Dancing with Myself, and the irresistible growl of Rebel Yell, Billy became one of the first UK punks to own US airwaves. Those videos didn't just sell records, they created identity. They turned Billy Idol into a brand, and that brand never faded. Each album became a revenue stream, from Rebel Yell's 5 times platinum run in Canada to Whiplash Smile, which went gold in the UK and platinum in the States, to Charmed Life, a phoenix rising after a brutal motorcycle crash. It was the soundtrack of a man refusing to vanish. But music wasn't the only source of gold. In the 1990s and 2000s, Billy embraced something most rockers avoided: reinvention. He lent his voice to films like The Wedding Singer and cartoons like Heavy Metal 2000. He took a seat on VH1 Storytellers, showed up on Behind the Music, and kept himself relevant, not through controversy, but consistency. And every time a new generation discovered Guitar Hero or Rock Band, there was Billy again. White Wedding in the set list, royalties in the bank. He never launched a fashion line, never sold tequila, but his name kept appearing in the credits. Sync licensing deals, commercial placements, streaming royalties. Then came the tours. Billy Idol understood the value of nostalgia, but he refused to coast on it. Instead, he returned with Devil's Playground in 2005 and Kings and Queens of the Underground in 2014. Albums that didn't just spark downloads, but tours. And those tours? They sold out. From intimate club shows to arena nights in Europe, each ticket became a thread in his growing financial tapestry. His approach to wealth wasn't aggressive. It was intentional. He didn't buy football teams. He bought homes, serene, soulful, architectural. Not to flip, but to live. He didn't shout about investments. But behind the scenes, Billy backed art education, partnered with environmental causes, and put his name only on projects that mattered. What's most fascinating, he never needed to chase headlines. While other stars turned wealth into spectacle, Billy turned it into stillness. Oak beams, terracotta tiles, and quiet rooms that echo with guitar strings instead of paparazzi clicks. This isn't the fortune of a sellout. It's the fortune of a survivor. A man who turned rebellion into longevity, who learned to make peace with fame and profit with integrity. And today, as he sits on his hillside terrace, surrounded by $7 and $6 million properties, Billy Idol doesn't need to scream. His life speaks for itself. You wouldn't expect it. Not from the man who once snarled through Rebel Yell, sneered into the MTV lens, and strutted across stages like he owned the night. But behind the leather, behind the eyeliner, behind the legend, lives a heart that beats not just for music, but for others. Philanthropy. Billy Idol's journey into philanthropy didn't start with a press release. It started with presence, with showing up, with saying yes when it mattered. And it begins, unexpectedly, with a dog. In the quiet corners of Los Angeles, Billy is a familiar face at the Best Friends Animal Society. Not as a celebrity ambassador, but as a man who kneels down in the dust to scratch behind a stray pup's ear. He's helped raise funds for abandoned animals, hosted charity auctions, and surprised fans by appearing at rescue centers. Unannounced, unglamorous, completely real. Pictures of him cradling kittens and grinning beside pit bulls tell a story no lyric ever could. But Billy doesn't stop at fur and feathers. In 2020, he partnered with the city of New York for the viral campaign Billy Never Idles. His face appeared on towering billboards, yelling not at fans, but at idling truck drivers. "If you're not driving, turn it off." The campaign, cheeky and unforgettable, raised awareness around air pollution caused by unnecessary vehicle emissions. Suddenly, Billy Idol wasn't just a punk icon. He was a climate voice. Still, his compassion runs deeper. For years, Billy has quietly supported Stand Up to Cancer, performing, donating, and using his platform to fuel research and bring hope to families fighting the fight of their lives. He's shown up for Children's Hospital Los Angeles, performing at private fundraisers and helping bring in resources for kids facing illness no child should ever endure. He doesn't just sign checks. He sings for them, plays for them, stands with them. And then there's Ride for Kids, a motorcycle charity that raises money for children battling brain tumors. The irony? Motorcycles nearly took Billy's life in 1990, but rather than walk away from that chapter, he turned it into purpose. Now, he rides not for rebellion, but for remembrance, for redemption, for a better future. He's also been a longtime supporter of arts education in public schools, especially programs focused on music, songwriting, and live performance. In a world where funding for the arts is the first to be cut, Billy stands as a symbol of what music can do. Transform a misfit into a megastar, a whisper into a scream, a wounded heart into a healing anthem. But perhaps his greatest philanthropic act is quieter still: his authenticity. Billy Idol has never pretended to be someone he's not. He doesn't post selfies with oversized donation checks. He doesn't name buildings after himself. He just shows up, time and time again. In interviews, when asked why he gives back, his answer is disarmingly simple. Being a punk doesn't mean not caring. It means caring deeply. Even when it's hard, I believe in action. For the planet, for the people, for the future. He's proof that rebellion and compassion aren't enemies. They're twins, born from the same fire. And when you trace the arc of his life, from chaos to clarity, from spotlight to service, you begin to understand something few ever say about Billy Idol. He's not just a rock star. He's a giver, a fighter for voices smaller than his own, a man whose kindness roars just as loud as his music ever did. Personal life. What does peace sound like to a man who's lived most of his life inside the roar? For Billy Idol, the answer comes slowly, not in stadiums, not in flashbulbs, but in early mornings on his terrace, the hum of wind through cypress trees, the rustle of his granddaughter's footsteps across a stone path. Yes, granddaughter. Her name is Poppy Rebel, born in 2020, a name that fuses two worlds, innocence and fire. She's the daughter of Bonnie Blue Broad, Billy's second child, a girl who arrived in 1989 at a time when Billy himself was teetering on the edge. And that edge, it shifted everything. Billy has spoken openly about those years, how fatherhood pulled him back from addiction, how the near-death crash in 1990 and a drug overdose in 1994 became turning points, not just in his career, but in his soul. It wasn't just about surviving. It was about showing up, for his kids, for himself. His son, Willem Wolf Broad, followed in his footsteps, not in chaos, but in rhythm. Willem is a musician, performing with bands like Fim and Jugs, blending the DNA of punk with the insight of someone raised inside its aftermath. Father and son don't just share blood, they share the beat. And as for love, there was Perry Lister, the French-English singer and dancer who stood beside Billy in his wildest years. They were never married, but their love was real, raw, and punctuated by the birth of Willem in 1988. The relationship eventually ended, but the bond as parents remained, steady in the background, even as stage lights faded. Today, Billy Idol's personal life is anything but tabloid fodder. It's private, fiercely so. No flashy weddings, no messy headlines. Just a man who's made peace with stillness. He spends much of his time in Los Angeles, splitting his days between his two homes. Mornings start slow, often with acoustic guitar in hand, coffee in the other. No crowd, no makeup. Just sunlight on Spanish tiles and the soft creak of old wood floors. He still writes music, still experiments with sound. But now, it's less about the charts and more about expression. About making something that feels true. He practices sobriety with quiet pride. No big declarations, no dramatic memoir. Just the decision, every day, to stay clear. To be present. He's also found a new rhythm in movement. Long walks, motorbike rides through canyons, yoga sessions in the corner of his sunroom. His body, once battered by life on the edge, now feels cared for, listened to. Friends describe him as grounded, kind, funny, still sharp as ever, still wicked with a wink, but softened at the edges. He reads more now. Philosophy, memoirs, and maybe it's fitting that the man who once dropped out of Sussex University as a philosophy student is now, in his 60s, quietly returning to the questions he once ran from. Who am I? What matters? What survives when the lights go out? His answers aren't loud. They come in gestures, holding his granddaughter's hand, standing barefoot by the pool, strumming a forgotten melody on the porch. Because this is the secret Billy Idol has discovered. That rebellion can be loud, but peace is louder. From snarling stages to sunlit sanctuaries, Billy Idol's story is one of rebellion, redemption, and quiet luxury. If his journey moved you, from punk chaos to peaceful grace, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe, because even legends have homes with stories worth stepping inside.